All right, let's talk about something that's happening inside your computer at this very second. We're going to pull back the curtain and look at your computer's memory. But forget all the dry, technical jargon. Instead, I want you to imagine it as a secret, super busy workspace. You know the feeling, right? We've all been there. You're just flying, getting things done, and then bam! Everything slows to a crawl. It's like you're suddenly wading through digital quicksand. It's probably one of the most annoying things about our tech, but what is actually going on in there? Well, the secret to that mystery, and really to your computer's performance in general, isn't some kind of dark magic. Nope. It's all about how well it manages that internal workspace we were just talking about. So, come on, let's meet the team that runs the whole show. So, this workspace has an official name, primary storage. And it's not just one thing. Think of it as a whole team. You've got RAM, ROM, cache, and even this clever backup player called virtual memory. They all have to work together in a very specific order to keep your computer humming along. Let's start with the captain of this team. First up is RAM, which stands for Random Access Memory. And I want you to picture RAM as the main desk in this office. It is the big central surface where you lay out absolutely everything you're working on right now. So that web browser you have open, the document you're typing in, the music you're listening to, all of it is sitting right there on the desk in RAM. This is what lets your computer's brain, the processor, quickly get to and work with all of your open apps. But this desk has some really specific rules you have to follow. And this is absolutely crucial to understand about RAM. First, it's volatile. That's just a fancy word that means it's temporary. The second you turn your computer off, that entire desk is wiped completely clean. That's why you always have to save your work. Second, it's read-write, which just means you can change what's on the desk all the time. Opening new programs, closing old ones, editing stuff. It's a dynamic, ever-changing workspace. Okay, so RAM is our main desk, but what about the tools you need to grab in a split second without even thinking about it? Well, that brings us to the next member of our team, cache, the speed booster. Now, cache is, it's really cool. It's a tiny, but incredibly fast sliver of memory, often built right into the computer's processor. Think of it like a little sticky note on your monitor with a password you use all the time, or your favorite pen that's always right there. It holds the tiny little bits of information the computer needs over and over and over again. And this is why cache is such a game changer for performance. By keeping those common things right at its fingertips, the cache saves the processor from having to make that slightly longer trip to go look for something on the main desk, the RAM. It's this constant tiny time saving that makes your computer feel really snappy and responsive. Okay, now let's meet a totally different kind of team member. This one has nothing to do with your active work. Its job is to just get the day started. This is ROM, or read-only memory. And this analogy is just perfect. ROM is basically a permanent instruction manual. It holds the essential startup instructions, you might have heard of the BIOS or UEFI, that your computer needs just to wake up. It tells the computer how to check that all its parts are working and then how to load your main operating system. It's the morning routine that never, ever changes. And putting them side by side like this just makes the difference crystal clear. RAM is your temporary, messy, changeable workspace that gets wiped clean. ROM is the permanent, unchangeable instruction book that's always there, even with the power off. Two totally different jobs, and both are absolutely critical. So we have our desk, our instant access tools, and our startup manual. But what happens when we try to put way too many projects on our desk at once? This is where our computer's workspace has a really clever trick up its sleeve. So when your RAM, your desk, gets totally full, your operating system jumps in. It intelligently looks for the stuff on your desk that you haven't touched in a while, those papers you pushed to the corner, and it moves them off the desk and into a nearby filing cabinet. That filing cabinet is actually a little chunk of your much slower hard drive, and just like that, you've got fresh space on your desk for the new task. Now, the great thing about this system, it's called virtual memory, is that it stops your computer from just giving up and crashing when you run out of RAM. That's huge. But, and this is a big but, here's the catch. Going over to that filing cabinet to get something is way, way slower than just grabbing it from the desk. That delay, that's the sluggishness you feel. And, the type of filing cabinet really matters. An old spinning hard drive is like a cabinet down the hall, but a modern solid-state drive, or SSD, is like having the cabinet right next to your desk. It's still slower than RAM, but it makes a world of difference. Okay, so we've met all the individual players on our primary storage team. We've met the desk, the sticky notes, the manual, and the overflow filing cabinet. Now, let's put it all together and see how this whole system works in beautiful harmony. This summary just lays it all out perfectly, doesn't it? You can really see the trade-offs at a glance. From the insanely fast but tiny cache to the very slow but essential virtual memory, you can see how each one has its own special role to play in the team. So, the single most important thing to take away from all this is that it's a hierarchy. It's a balancing act. Your computer's performance is all about this memory pyramid, designed to keep the most important data in the fastest possible place, to make sure the computer's brain almost never has to wait. And that brings me to a final question for you. Now that you understand the whole team, the desk, the sticky notes, that overflow filing cabinet, which one do you think you feel the most in your day-to-day use? Is it the snap of a good cache, or is it that frustrating lag when virtual memory has to kick in? It's something to think about the next time your computer's speed seems to change out of nowhere.